Culture Club hit the road this summer for festival season. Boy George has popped in to say good morning. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Lovely to see you.
It's lovely to see it. So you're off. You're off out and about. You're meeting the fans. You're going to be at Uptown. What are you doing?
Uptown, which is in Blackheath, which is kind of near where I grew up.
Oh, so it's like a homecoming.
It is a bit. I mean, Blackheath is posh. I'm actually from SC9 originally.
Right.
And then moved to SC18. And Blackheath was always like a place I wanted to live when I was a kid. I was like, you know, I'd love to live in Blackheath. But...
So how does it feel when you're doing a festival there? Is there sort of a lot of memories of sort of...
I feel like, you know, it's funny because, like, South East London, I ran screaming from South East London when I was, like, 17 and vowed never to go back. But over the years, you know, obviously through the DJing, I used to do a lot of clubs down there. And eventually people kind of reclaimed me as part of the sort of South East London massive. Yeah, eventually it was like,
one of us,
you know.
Of course.
So, yeah, no, I love it down there now, you know. But when I was, like, 17, you know, we used to get chased by casuals.
Yeah.
You know? That was the look, they all, with the way they were dressed, so they looked...
Yeah, it was like, you know, walking around South East London dressed as a nun wasn't exactly, you know, it didn't go down too well.
How was it growing up back in the day there and with your family? I've heard you describe it as you were the pink sheep.
Definitely. I mean, I used to sometimes see my brothers and their mates, like, as I was walking down the hill to get the bus, and they'd, like, cross the road.
Would they really? Would you then embarrass them more?
Oh, always. Always, yeah, absolutely, yeah, totally. Ask them for money.
And where did the look come from, George?
I think for me, it was obviously Bowie, Mark Bolan, the whole glam rock thing. You know, I've always just loved music, you know, even like things like 50s music, Elvis Presley, Eddie Cochran. I just loved show business.
Yeah.
You know, I just was drawn.
But you come from a pretty straight family background. How did your mum and dad react when all of a sudden you're dressing like that and going out and being who you are? My dad
always used to try and get me to go to the boxing club. My dad used to say, you need to toughen yourself up. You know, if you're going to walk around looking like that, you need to be able to handle yourself. And, of course, I wasn't really interested in fighting people. But my dad's advice was learn to punch, and then if someone hits you, you can hit them back. But no, that wasn't for me.
That wasn't for me. So, did they... I mean, obviously, they knew it was you and you were happy doing that. Did they embrace it, or did they sort of...
To start with, it was, you know, frowned upon. But then eventually, when they realised it wasn't going to stop, it was only going to get worse, I think they just gave up, you know.
Did your mum ever help you with your outfits? Or...
My mum started off as a kind of, you know, standing in front of the front door to stop me going out, to making things for me and allowing me to, you know, say, well, make this for me, you know.
What a brilliant mum.
Yeah, it was
How
great.
Did you turn her around? Was it just where
Defiance. It was literally just, you know...
you wore them down?
Yeah, I just kept doing it, and it was like...
But I think lots of people were the same in that era. I remember actually Martin Kemp coming on and talking about the Blitz, and he said the closest thing to it was you went in there and you felt like everything was Technicolor. Like, your senses were heightened.
So
everybody was dressed differently.
Also, when you're, like, 17, you don't really care what other people think. Do you know what I mean? You just... I always used to think, why do you care?
Yeah.
You know, but sort of loving the attention. It's a weird one. When you dress up and you're a show-off, part of you wants the animosity and part of you doesn't want it. It's a real double-edged sword because why do people have to make comments?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he also got his mum to make his outfits as well.
Did.
And she said she made some leather trousers for him, but didn't ever put anything to undo them. So he was desperate to go to the loo, and they hadn't put a zip and a button in. So he was just...
My mum was an excellent seamstress. It was like she would copy Vivienne Westwood clothing. And in fact, one time I was in Paris wearing a pair of trousers my mum had made, and Vivienne came up and inspected them, and she goes, they're not mine. I said, no, my mum made them. And she looked at me, she said, tell her she did a fantastic job.
Wow, praise from Vivienne Westwood.
It must have been your mum's proudest moment, like printed up the T-shirts with that on.
One of the lovely things when Culture Club and you'd really hit the scene, of course, there was plenty of interviews that you've done over the years, George, where you talk about the future, you talk about who you are. And we found a clip of nearly 40 years ago of an interview where someone asks you what you would like to be remembered for in 40 years. And here we go. This is what you said.
You would like... What do you think you might be doing in 40 years' time?
I hope I don't know what I'd like to be remembered for. Songs, mainly, you know. I mean, because I actually read something in the newspaper the other week which said Boy George was nothing to the discovered mascara, which I felt very insulted because, you know, I write songs.
Can I imagine what you would look like in 40 years' time? Are you going to be like that?
Hideous, probably. Well, I mean, everyone wants to grow up gracefully, but sometimes you just can't help it, you know.
Oh,
Aren't
Good
you
news
gorgeous?
is I look better.
you look fabulous.
But aren't you gorgeous, though? Your raspy voice, you're so gorgeous. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do remember it, yeah. And it's a funny one, isn't it? Because, like, when you first start, you know, when we first started the band, nobody was thinking about the future.
No.
Nobody thought we were sitting there 40 years later talking about our careers. You know, it just wasn't, you know, we thought we'd make a record, maybe do one tour. You know, it's, you just never know what's coming, you know.
Well, you're definitely remembered for the music, and you've got this new album,
sure.
SE18. So you're still writing the music, you're still doing a business now.
Absolutely. And I have a bunch of stuff coming out. Now I've found a way to release vinyl. So this is not going to be streamed. It's only vinyl and CD. I'm taking it right back.
How are you doing that? How are you...
You can go online and order it. Yeah.
So you have to get a physical copy. We really miss
Yeah.
that, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like my audience doesn't seem to care about streaming.
They want to have it. They want to have
Yeah,
the
they
copy
like
in
the
their
product.
hand.
They like
looking at it.
the lyrics.
And there's a real
Oh,
reggae influence there.
Yeah, and also I just love records. I actually, doing this vinyl has really reminded me of how much I just get excited when Bowie put out a record or T-Rex, you know, and you go and buy it and look
Going
at
to the record shop and flipping
looking
through.
at who played on it, you know,
Yeah.
who did the costumes, who did the makeup. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for dropping by. It's always great to catch
you.
up and have a chat. And that is such a wonderful clip.
Yeah,
It's such
it
a
is.
wonderful
That
clip.
hair.
Oh, yeah. Boy George and Culture Club are headlining Uptown Festival at Blackheath, London on Sunday, the 27th of June.
And George's new album, SE18, is out on the 21st of June.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.